welcome everyone to the show, One-on-One with Seth. And we're changing things up a little bit today. We have Esteban from the team here, and we're going to switch it up, and he's going to basically be doing a bit of an interview with me and asking me questions, but we're going to have some fun with it. We're going to be silly, we're going to be cackling, we're going to be giggling, we're going to be ourselves, and we're not going to just be talking about real estate today. We're going to be kind of getting to know us, and I hope you guys like it. It's going to be a good one.
No, I'm excited about it. We thought it would be good to get our Beyonce in on the camera and put her in the hot seat.
Yeah.
We know she doesn't do any interviews, so this is a very rare thing. So we have Kelly taking over.
She's busy. She's busy touring the world.
Exactly.
You know?
We don't know where Michelle is at, but that's fine.
Who? Oh my God.
So yeah, this is all basically to get to know you, and I guess we could just start back when you started real estate. Like, what got you into real estate? You were, 2016, you were 26 years old.
Yeah.
I was a fetus around that time. But how did it start?
It started in college. I originally wanted to be an architect, and I thought it'd be really cool to design, houses and blah, blah, blah. Then I realized, I'm going to have like a developer as a client, and I'm going to have to build what they say to build. And I felt like the creative outlet was kind of restricted at that point. I said, well, maybe I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Let's go into real estate. I think sales it didn't immediately grab me because I started off with flipping houses, and that was like my initial creative outlet. I was able to build things, do whatever I wanted. I had a business partner, and we did really well, and it was really fun. But it naturally just progressed into being in sales, and I was like, holy shit, I actually know what I'm doing here. And I think a lot of it was not just being in sales, you need to have a certain personality, I think. You need to be gregarious, you need to be a go-getter, you need to think creative, you need to be resourceful, and I felt like I possessed those things, and it just kind of worked. And, in the beginning, it was really just gritty, just do whatever you can do to get a deal, and
it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, you just kind of do whatever, and you're kind of just figuring it out at a young age. You're like, do I do open houses? Do I door knock? Do I cold call my friends? You just do whatever you can possibly do to kind of get it going. Mm-hmm. I feel like you did the exact same thing. I feel like, you jumped into it and you're like, I don't know what the hell I got to do, but I'm just going to do whatever I'm told.
You have to
just
do everything.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do everything you can just to make it work, even though you don't even have full confidence in it.
Yeah.
I was in open houses, and my previous team leads would tell me to go on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
And talk to all my uncles and tios and tias, and just be like, hey,
hi people, look, I'm at an open house.
I'm at an open house with my monkey suit on, trying to sell this house, and nobody's trying to buy.
No.
But you have to get uncomfortable to finally find your rhythm, which you eventually started finding that rhythm. You started off making all these YouTube videos.
Yeah. And I think in real estate you do have to kind of differentiate. You need to differentiate from the thousands of other people. And, my previous broker, we went to these Friday caravans, and I'm like, man, we're looking at all these cool properties. Why isn't someone documenting this? Why isn't someone just filming it on their phones? It's so simple. And so we came out with this little series called Fresh Friday, and it was fun. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just filming shit and editing it, putting it online, and being myself. And so, yes, you're putting out content. Yes, you're, showing the audience what's new on the market. But they're also getting to know who you are.
Yeah.
And I think people, even if they hadn't met me before, they'd see me on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and they're like, oh, I know who this guy is. He's who I would want to work with, or he's fun or whatever.
Your personality shows, and I think that's the issue with a lot of agents, where it gets very scripted, and they're like, let's do the TikToks, let's do the social media, and they come off very robotic on these videos.
Or genuine. There's no authenticity to who they are. And again, that's a general statement, but I think it's critical to differentiate and just be yourself, because no one else is you, and just be yourself. Just be yourself. People are going to gravitate towards you no matter what. So,
where do you typically get all your clients? And then second question is where's the most random place you've gotten a client from, or fun, let's say?
Yeah, in the beginning, we did a lot of the online social media stuff. So a lot of my initial clients were coming from our Instagram and Facebook ads, and those worked really well. you know, for a good 3-4 years, I was like, this is my base, you know, and then those people turned into repeat clients or referrals, and that's kind of how it grew. And then, over time, I think my friends eventually were like, okay, Seth is hustling. He's actually doing very well. I'm going to either work with him or refer him. And so a lot of it comes from the social media ads, and it comes from friends, like sphere of influence.
Starting with that, and then over time it gets
better, and then those people who bought, then they sell, and it just builds that funnel even more and more and more. And like, it's not gonna, I mean, it's extremely difficult to start in real estate and then be like, I did 50 deals. Like that's literally 1 in a million. Like, it's very, very, very difficult to do that. And unless you have like some sort of lead gen pipeline, something coming in, that's not going to happen most likely.
And we always get people like that, like slide in our DMs and kind of they're like, hey, I want to be a real estate agent. And we kind of just have to do one of those double takes. It's just like, are you, do you want to be an agent, or does this look like fun?
Do you know what it means?
Yeah.
Just because you like houses doesn't mean that you want to be a real estate agent.
Just because you're pretty doesn't mean you're going to be a good real estate agent.
No, it don't. It might, but no, probably not.
It'll help.
It'll help a lot. But the weirdest thing, okay, so this was actually really funny. And they've become friends of mine, but they reached out to me. I'm not going to name them, but these two guys were moving here. They reached out to me and they're like, hey, one of our friends, who I had no idea who they were, said that, you know, you're a great real estate agent and you've worked with our friend. And I'm like, nope, I don't know that person. And I have no idea who they are. And so we ended up working together. And I mean, they bought a place out of state. They were not living here, and it worked out really well. And they've now bought another place with me. And it was just like a really random fluke of a thing. And you get those sometimes, you know, you're like, you know, I know you've had like some crazy people online that you're like, okay, whatever.
Well, like somebody just randomly reached out, supposedly found me on Google one time, and then like, and then like to this day I still work with. I am like, they're working on purchasing a second property.
Yes.
But it's those things where like you kind of like, you know, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the social media, all that stuff, and you're like, is it really working? Like, fuck this shit. And then eventually it does. You can't really measure it a lot.
Yeah, the Google one was, I remember that was in the office, we were buzzing about it. We're like Google, like they found you on Google?
Yeah.
That's very old school. Like, what?
Literally.
And
they thought my name was pretty, so just like.
They're like, you're cute. I'm going to work with you. Oh, and you're actually really good at what you do, too.
Yeah,
great. Got
it.
You got so being pretty does help, I guess.
Well, you
got to execute. You got to execute on it.
Just Facetune, you know, does wonders. And good lighting, too.
Yeah, good lighting, kind of.
Oh, my gosh. But you said, like, a lot of the clients that you've gotten have been mainly from, like, referrals or social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been the strongest base to this day. So, you know, if there's other people who are looking out there to build their pipeline, that's going to be your core,
your bread and butter.
Whether your leads are open houses or whether your leads are cold calls, you need something that's like cold leads, and you need the warm people in your life, your sphere of influence, who are going to be kind of funneling and like feeding your pipeline. Otherwise, like, where is it going to come from? You need something that's like the gritty work and something that's going to be a little bit easier that you can just get from.
Well, it's like then those clients become like your fans in a way. They really admire what you do.
Definitely.
Because as hard as this career can be, it can also be very rewarding.
Yeah.
As long as we have the right clients. But they really do, if you do a good job, people are going to advocate for you and then refer you and then just thank you, because it's a very emotional purchase for the most part.
And like, I mean, been doing this for a while now, and I still love working with clients. Like, it's, like you said, super rewarding, and I don't know, you're just actually helping someone with something so big, and some of the times you're like, holy shit, you made someone, you know, $500,000 in 2 years or something. You're really helping them create not only like individual wealth, but if they do it right, generational wealth for themselves and for their family. Yeah. And so that's been really, really cool for me to see just friends, past clients be like, wow, Seth, you really helped us make $250,000 in 2 years or whatever. I'm like, that's great. You know, that's amazing. Because I will take the step and say, you know, that's a shitty house. That's really not going to appreciate at all. You're not going to make any money in 2 years. Or, you know, what's your objective with the house? You're going to live here for 10 years? Okay, it's a little different than living there for 2 or 4 or 5. So I think that's maybe the difference. Like even with you, like I feel like you take the time to actually say, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
What's the objective with this house? What's the objective of living here? And you know, where are you going to be in 5 years? I know you're supposed to always ask that, but a lot of people don't. And then they just say, yeah, get into a house, buy whatever, let's make a commission. It's like you didn't even think about your client. You didn't even think about their needs or what they wanted or what they needed or what they didn't even know they needed. And looking beyond that. So I don't know. I just feel like it's always still rewarding after a while still to do this. Like, I'm not doing it for 30 years, but like Richard Woods or something, but love her. But it's still really exciting when you get an offer accepted and your client is so excited. And
the story matters.
Yeah.
Like where they, did they think they were ever going to buy a property? Is this their first? What does this mean to them?
there were struggles, and then all of a sudden, like they work with one of us, and it's like, bam, it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's nice, and it's also like a confidence booster when you're like, I'm doing it right, like this is working. Yeah, like I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So it's nice. It's really, really nice.
What is like an example of one of like your biggest like real estate like nightmare transactions that you've kind of saved?
Oh my God.
I know there's a few.
The most recent I can think of is I was representing the sellers. It was a kind of a tricky situation because they were getting into divorce, and they pretty much like towards the end decided we don't want to sell anymore. And technically once you're under contract, you know, you have to go through with the sale. And so it was a bit of back and forth, and it was just really difficult to keep everyone's emotions in check. Even mine, I'll be honest, like I was very invested because I was also representing the buyer as well, even though she was another real estate agent. It was just like extremely taxing. Yeah. And in the end, it did work out. In the end, you know, the sellers, I think, moved on and you know, they're happy, and the buyer has moved on and she's happy. But it was just like, holy shit, we have attorneys and back and forth lawsuit threats and all these things. And I'm just like, I'm going to die of a heart attack because of all this stress from these people, you know?
Because they come after you. It's their biggest asset.
Yeah.
And not everyone's always like so nice and chipper, like, hey, how's the offer like, no, they're like, no, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. Like, this is my house. Are you like, people get nasty.
Oh, have it right now. So yeah. You know about that too. So yeah.
And you just have to kind of like poker face like a pageant, just kind of like,
I can try, but you know, it's really difficult because I get really emotionally invested into every transaction. And so it's difficult. People are like, oh, leave the emotions at the door. It's like, this is residential real estate. This isn't commercial real estate where it's a little bit more numbers related. It's a lot of emotions. Yeah. And like you said, sellers are going to say, what's the update here? What's going on with this? And as a listing agent, I don't think people understand. It's like, you know, we take you from start to finish, from either, you know, the beginning consult to the design, to the prep, to the listing, to the marketing, to the showings, to everything you can imagine. And then it goes to the process, and it's like, they think, oh, we get paid all this money. It's like, no, bitch, we did all this work. Yeah. Like there's months and months and months of work that have gone into this. And so it is emotional. You're investing so much time and energy into it. Yeah. So it's unfortunate when it does happen that it doesn't work out, but most of the time it does. I would say 95, 97% of the time, all transactions that are in escrow or like I've been involved with have worked out. Yeah. But there are some that just aren't meant to be.
Yeah. Sometimes there is like the sellers or the buyers don't really see what's going on behind like the curtain of like
most
all
of
the
the
work.
time.
Yeah. They just, sometimes they think we're opening doors, just making the offer, and that's it. But no, there's a lot of things that we're trying to negotiate and keep peace with everything.
Yeah. We get a bad rep. I mean, I think we get a bad rep with these TV shows where, you know, they look like they're like having lunch for 3 hours and they're doing things. It's like, no, we're calling all these other agents to show the property. We're figuring out, you know, what are the open houses? What's the best strategy? What do the flyers look like? Are we filming a video? What else are we doing to market the property? You know, we're also going to our own sphere, to our own database, to our own people to figure out, is there something that we can do to sell the property? Yeah. Like, what else can we do to sell this place, you know? And we're just strategizing all the time.
We're therapists, we're counselors, when a buyer tells us I'm not going to go dollar over 800 and like fuck the sellers or anything like that. I'm like, let me translate that to something nicer, because that'll kill the deal. No, I've even with me before. I remember I had a client that she was looking to sell her house. This older lady. She was completely competent, like she could talk. She was a very nice lady.
She could talk.
She could talk everything. Like she had no signs. Like I'm going this direction because she was going to sign the listing agreement, and then one of her daughters was there present. So I'm like, here's the listing agreement. She was older, so she didn't know how to use DocuSign. So I had to, like the pilgrims, like print out the real estate listing agreement
with a Pluma pen with like a feather
and like ink, and then just like. And then she was older, so I had to just kind of like, this is like what we've negotiated. And she was like, okay, everything looks good. And I'm like, daughter, does everything look good? And then she's like, yeah, it looks fine. The other daughter calls me, and then she's like, why would you do this? You're trying to charge her a 7.5% commission. I'm like, no, we negotiated 5. The other 2.5 is for the other party. And then the daughter's husband calls me and he's like, this is elder abuse and going off. He's like, how dare you do this? I'm going to report you to California. And I was like, wait, like hold the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, don't like do all those things. I'm like, this can all be negotiated. It's fine. Like, it's fine. Like, let's relax a bit. You don't need to start coming for my character.
Yeah,
just because you're upset.
And they're uneducated. They don't know what the hell it is. Like, people act like they know what the hell they're talking about with real estate. It's like, bitch, you don't know a single goddamn thing.
They don't know a thing, so they're afraid of getting screwed. So they kind of jump the gun and just act as if we're already screwing them over.
Again, we get a bad rap. That we're trying to screw people over. It's like, no, we're trying to help you in any way we can. We're not doing it for free, but we're not here to rip you off. Yeah. And that's just not our nice character. We're nice people. Like, we're very nice, caring, wonderful people. So it's not like we're here to rip you off. And most people are. Most agents are wonderful people. They're caring. Yes. They're looking out for their client. It's just like, I feel like, again, these TV shows sometimes make us look like we're the villains.
Exactly. Or it's
like, what the hell?
Or maybe it's like bad rep from like the 90s or the 2000s that just like we're in the era of information. So if any client has one bad experience, they can post a review, they can do anything. It should try to kind of jeopardize our career. So, but like, I'm a good person, so I'm not gonna let it get to that. But in the case, anyone can actually do those things.
Yeah. And I'm sure it does happen. I think just with our brokerage with Compass, it doesn't happen. I will say that. I think Compass is one of the main pillars is integrity, and I think a lot of the Compass agents definitely hold a lot of integrity. Even when we're doing a transaction with another Compass agent, you're like, okay, this is going to be much easier. They're competent. They know what they're talking about. Like, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable for sure.
Well, that's why when I joined Compass, I've always had Compass on the radar. When I started making offers, legitimately, my offer would just stand out knowing that I was from a Compass brokerage. They're like, hey, we have 5 other offers, but your offer was clean and you're part of Compass. So we're going to fight for you.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, and when people talk about like, Compass is a little more expensive, for me, it's an investment for myself and my clients. They're not these other discount brokerages.
Well, you also know, like, going into it, I mean, if I see a Compass agent as a listing agent, I'm going to see what office they're in, see if I know them at all through one of the networking events at Compass or whatever, to see if there's some sort of connection there. And then it's like, okay, we already have that bond. And, a lot of the times in a tricky market or a difficult market or a tough market, really who your buyer's agent is, how their relationship with the other agents in the market matters. Really, that tacky saying, who you work with matters. Like, yes, but like who they know matters as well. And if they know a ton of other agents, then it's going to make it a lot easier for you. I mean, literally the client that is in escrow, we close on the day after July 5th. The other agent is a Compass agent. And he's like, oh, you're in Mission Valley too. That's great. And there were 5 other offers and our offer got accepted. It was the first offer I wrote for that client. And he had worked with someone else for 6 months and never got an offer accepted.
Wow.
And so, like, who your agent knows really matters as well. So
and that's why it's important to be part of teams, so you can have like a network of people to know each other and separate yourself. We don't just network to get clients. We network with other agents to get our clients into
get our
escrow.
deals accepted. Exactly. So
Well, to start, why did you? Is this why you joined Compass in 2019? Compass was like 5 years old, and you decided to join. Back then, did you know this was going to happen?
when Compass was around for like I think maybe 2 years when I joined in San Diego, and I think 2 other agents that I really respect joined, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me check this out. And neither of them could really pinpoint what it was. They're like, oh, the tech, oh, the culture, oh, the the staff and the effort. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. They're just like, it's great overall.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, And so yeah, I went and sat down at the downtown office, which was in WeWork at the time, and yeah, they showed me it all, and I'm like, wow, the tech, the marketing, the network, the growth that's happening. I was like, I'm
exciting.
in. Like I'm in. I'm excited. And to this day, Compass is still at the forefront of everything. Everything real estate related, Compass is at the forefront.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're the #1 brokerage in the country. Like,
Yeah.
and they're light years ahead with technology, light years ahead of understanding culture and buyer, just data points and everything like that. So I don't know. I feel like we're sitting in a really, really, really good position with Compass.
No, I agree. I think all the resources are incredibly helpful. Given that I was like in different brokerages before, I spent hours on Canva trying to polish this turd of a marketing deal that we had because like our colors were like green, blue,
Canva.
and something. Yeah, and I'm just like, cool. I spent like an hour and a half trying to like make this post.
Yeah.
When I could have been calling people or like
Yeah.
talking to clients, and it still didn't look good because you know what? I'm not a graphic designer.
It's not your skill set. So why
No.
should, yes, and that's the benefit of Compass, one of the many, but it's like, yeah, you have Marketing Center. You want to make an Instagram post? Click, click, click. Oh, you have 50 different layouts and it shows you different pictures. Click the one you like and post it. It's so
Done.
easy and
Easy.
amazing and done. So, it's been great. And honestly, I will even say leaning into like the support staff and our sales managers, they've really been there for us in many ways. And so that's been really nice to just have someone that's like kind of watching your back and helping you out.
Because you're like your top dog. You're on. But you still need someone to like look over you. And
I need a little
and have
guardian
some-
angel
Yeah, some
sometimes.
support. Shout out to Liz.
Shout out to Liz, Sean,
Sean.
whoop, whoop. They've been great. They've been really, really, really great.
Yeah, no. I remember even when I joined, it was 1 or 2 weeks before COVID hit, and it was like a legit. Because I've been part of 2 brokerages before, and they were just like, "Here you go sell real estate, whatever." And it was I had to go to the 16th floor in downtown and then talk to Liz and Devil Wears Prada moment.
Yeah.
where she looked at me like head to toe and like, am I gonna be a good fit? And I'm like,
I know. I remember that because she's like, I need to interview everyone that's going to join your team. I'm like, oh my God, it's intimidating because you go up to 16th floor and it's like, yeah, it's exactly what you said.
But it felt legit, and I was like, "Oh, this is serious."
Yeah.
And then that's when I got more. Well, I didn't get that serious because then COVID hit, so I guess I was like out of a job for a bit. But no,
Yeah.
I still had a listing,
Yeah.
so I was holding on to that one. No, but eventually things got a lot better after that.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I think they're still good. I think things are, a lot of people talk negatively about the real estate market, and it's easy for us to buy into that. And yes, interest rates are higher than they used to be, and yes, inventory is low, but there's a lot of positives that can come out of it. There's still a lot of, possibilities if you can get creative in the market. And also, like, if you can afford it, your interest rate is going to go down eventually, and your payment is going to go down. And so, there's a lot of things, but yeah, maybe this market isn't made for everybody. But if it is, if you think you can do it, and if you can qualify for anything, it's going to just work out for you.
Go for it.
And to your benefit.
Yeah, buy now, refinance later if you can, and that's to a good point. If you can in this market, go for it.
Yeah.
But so many people are just like, I need A, B, C, D, and then the rest of the alphabet to purchase a property.
Well, they make up excuses to say why they can't, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not here to be your convincing therapist.
Exactly. Like not everyone can be converted, and that's a hard thing too, getting this industry, because everyone's like call. You know, you didn't. Don't use don't use the word and. Don't say follow up.
Yeah.
Like, because then no, some people are just not meant to be
Yeah,
converted.
they're not ready.
They're just not ready.
Their lifestyle or their place in their life at the moment is not ready for it.
Yeah, and we get it. It's expensive. It's hard, but sometimes you just got to pull the trigger.
Sometimes you got to pull the trigger. I mean, you jumped into it and bought a place.
Yes.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us
25.
about that. That was honestly like kind of out of the blue, kind of.
Yeah.
But tell us about that.
No, it happened really fast, and I had a really good 2021. And I've always wanted to. This is why I got into real estate. I wanted to buy property and create generational wealth. So I'm starting that out. But
You are, yes.
So I was able to really quickly. I found somebody who wanted to go in on the property with me, and purchased one. We literally got an offer accepted January of 2022. And then went through the full renovation and made a full-fledged Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I purchased it before I turned 26, yeah.
Yeah. And how's
So-
it doing now?
It's doing really well. Now it's at the point where I don't have to look at it. I don't have to go to it. There was always something like a doorknob broke or something. Like, it's fully fledged, clean. It's we have like roughly 45-star reviews.
Wow.
And the properties, and then we converted the garage into an ADU.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
And we rent that out to travel nurses, and it's always occupied. So it's bringing in cash.
Good.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's appreciating. And
And
you
it's
bought it
appreciating.
a couple years ago and it's doing well. That's just
Exactly.
amazing. Yeah.
And there's always something nice knowing about, like, if I ever go broke, I can just sell the house and get the money. It's just like,
it's a nice, comfortable thing to feel when, I mean, I've thought of the same thing. You know, you're
Yeah.
like, well, if I would just want to move to Mexico for the rest of my life, I could just sell everything and be done.
and
you
then
know?
be done.
I'm
and
like, cool, great.
Exactly.
And that, I encourage everyone, even on our team, like, hey, buy a house. We're in the industry. We honestly get the first set of eyes on every property mostly.
Yeah.
And you need to practice what you preach. Like, you can't really be renting forever and be a real estate agent. You should probably buy a house, and
Yeah.
you can talk to them on their level about, when I renovated my house, I used this contractor, or I did this, or my rate's at this, and you guys should refund. Like, you have the relatability with the people versus
Yeah.
just kind of like, this is what I've been told, and this is what I think, but you
Yeah.
haven't really actually experienced it. So, it's awesome that you bought a place and you've experienced it, and you can relate to your clients a lot deeper than just kind of a surface level.
Exactly. And we always try to level with our clients, because I know we have the professional photography. We do a lot of things, and sometimes people fall under the assumption that we only work with like really expensive homes, which isn't the case. My house wasn't that expensive comparably, but we start somewhere. Like, I didn't come from money. I know you didn't really come from money.
No.
And we worked our way up.
Yeah.
So you want to tell people that you can purchase. When I was in high school, I was selling chips out of my locker.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
yes. You had like a little chip selling
I
business.
had my duffel bag, and I was going to Mexico and then selling chips for $1. I was making $250 a week
Dang.
in profit. Yeah.
That's great.
I was hustling.
Hustling.
And now I'm
Making
selling
that down
houses.
payment already.
I know. I was just saving up for my down payment around the time. I knew this time was going to come.
It was going to come
I
eventually.
knew the pandemic was going to come. Interest rates were going to come down. And yeah, I just,
Fortune teller.
exactly. I'm very wise. But yeah, no, it's tough. Like, money doesn't always like come, but there's always like some way around it. Everyone just needs a plan.
You also just need to be a little gritty and like get to it. I mean, it's not going to always work out the way you envisioned it. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't go exactly to your plan. And you
No.
got to be able to just adapt and
Pivot.
figure out, hey, you know what? That now doesn't seem like the best option. I need to quick switch it. Who can help figure this out with me? And what do I need to do? And
Yeah.
so, I think you have that characteristic as well. And, everyone else on our team, I think, does as well. So it's nice because that kind of translates into when you work with a client. It's like, well, shit, like, what do we do? And you quick think about what's another option? What can we do?
Yeah.
And you have to think quick with these transactions because you have your contingency periods and you got to just think quick and change it up.
You have to save the deal. And it's really important. Which is why I love our team, is because we always have conversations like, hey, I'm having this problem. How do I save my transaction?
Yeah.
Because we haven't all gone through the same issue.
Yeah.
And we always typically find a solution.
Yeah, we typically do. And again, if we don't have a solution, we can call our sales managers who have, decades of experience and they can kind of jump in and help out with it. So we're really fortunate, I feel like.
No, I feel really lucky to be in this position and have this. And I know it's been like, what, 4 years
Oh
since
my
we've
God,
met each
4
other.
years.
I
Oh my
know.
God.
3 years at
Blossomed
campus.
to a beautiful princess. Well, I think, we've really dove deep into me.
Yeah.
I'll ask a couple more questions like about you.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, you've briefly touched on how and why you got into real estate. Maybe tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I knew like some things about construction. My dad taught me a lot about woodworking. So I was very crafty. I could do a lot of things like that. And then I always just kind of liked to socialize with people.
Yeah.
So when I went to college at first, I was like, what am I going to do? And I was studying communication because, I could talk to people, I could socialize. But then I was like, I don't want to be a counselor or something like that. Like, I want to do something that excites me. And then that's when becoming a real estate agent or just a real estate came to mind. I wasn't sure exactly where I would fit into it. And honestly, I didn't want to be a sales agent, a realtor at first.
Yeah.
Because
I know. We all kind of like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Because you're like, it's weird and I don't have to, but I don't want to. But eventually, after kind of just networking, talking to different people, I started off by wholesaling. And
that's right.
Yeah, it was an internship where I was just like calling like for 5-6 hours a day nonstop to people who were going through like a death in the family, divorce, foreclosure, things like that. And I'd be like, hey,
oh my God,
Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know you're going through a hard time, but do you want to sell your house for 60% of its value?
Yeah.
And they would be like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So
probably what they said to you 1,000 times.
So that was really good for my self-esteem.
Yeah.
I was
me up.
Yeah, I was doing great. Wasn't drinking at all. But eventually it was me and 2 other guys and like it wasn't working. I think that was more, it worked more in other places out of state.
Yeah.
But my boss at the time, he's like, you know what, if they don't want to sell at a discount, then just give it to me and I'll like put it on the market. I just got my license. And I was like, well, if I'm calling everyone and I'm doing all the work, and you're going to give me like
pennies
to it, I'm going to get my license.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do this. Fuck that shit. Like, I'm not going to like do all the work for you.
Yeah, exactly.
As my like fucking mental health is like debilitated like for like pennies like while I'm in college. I was already in college. I was suffering anyway. So yeah, eventually I got my that led me to get my license and then just start the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, that sounds dreadful.
You
you made it through.
I made it through.
You made it through.
You live and you learn. No, that's when I just eventually just started joining different teams and trying to find my spot.
Yeah. This is, I just kind of made this question up on, but like, I mean, you're on a good trajectory. You bought real estate, you're succeeding in real estate as an agent. Like, where do you see kind of Esteban going in the next like 3 to 5 years?
Oh my gosh. I just want to keep it simple. Just help more people buy and sell real estate and then buy more properties in that. Like, it's what I know. I've already done it. This last property was my guinea pig, and it was a fairly good guinea pig. So
I would say so.
So now that I have the idea down, or I have the work down, now it's just about like repetition.
Yeah, and being good at it still. Like getting better at working with clients and getting better at identifying a good property to purchase.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great goal. I think a lot of people shoot for the stars and they're like, I'm going to do this and that. And it's great. Live your life. Like, that sounds awesome, know? But sometimes it's nice to stay on that steady journey of being consistent and just consistently getting better and better and better instead of like, boom, let's go like that, which, you're bang your head against the wall trying to, go exponentially. It's like, okay, maybe we just want to kind of gradually go up. And then next thing you know, you look back in 5 years, you're like, holy shit, like I've accumulated this wealth. I've accumulated these clients and this like community of people around me.
You've built a life.
You've built an entire life. This is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was fun on the way up too.
And that's the most important thing, because so many people get stuck in like the hustle and like, I need to do this, and then before you know it, yes, you might make a lot of money, but I think our clients appreciate that we're kind of wholesome.
Yeah,
like we have a little
like
bit
real
of
people.
everything. We're real people.
Like you would want to go have a drink with us, or have come to our client appreciation party or whatever. Like enjoy being around us versus just like, oh, we did a transaction together for a month and a half,
It's
and
just
that's
a
it. Bye, see you
professional-
later.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, when we're going to showings, we're not just like, this is the house. It's 1,000 square feet. It's painted blue. You can tell. Like,
Here's the kitchen,
And then
it's
they're
like,
like,
okay, no shit.
no shit. Like, it's right there. And then like they want us to talk to them.
Yeah,
Like,
you get to know them on
Yeah.
a deeper level, and you talk about everything.
yeah, sometimes you have to like shit on the house with your clients because the pictures are great, but you go inside, I'm like, this is ugly, and they're like, yeah, it's ugly, let's get out.
Yeah,
And that builds the relationship.
because they're like, oh, he's funny. Okay, I like
yeah,
him.
exactly. Whatever
And
it
then-
is, your thing.
But it
like,
breaks down also the barrier that like, I don't want to bother you. It's like, no, like
Yes.
I'm gonna go hang out with Esteban. Like I'm gonna go look at houses. Granted, there are some Looney Tunes that have like, oh, I booked a house just to hang out with you. It's like, okay, are you qualified to even buy a house?
Where's your pre-approval, sir?
No, I never intended on actually buying a house.
Let's grab a margarita after this open house.
I'm like, no, thank you.
This is my livelihood.
Yeah, don't waste my time, bitch.
Don't waste my time. Well,
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. I didn't want to hear you like dipping out of real estate and bye, see you later anytime
yeah,
soon.
this is my formal exit. My mental health is at an all-time low.
It's at an all-time high, hopefully now. Yay.
No. It just makes me stronger every day.
Yes.
At least one hopes.
Yeah. Well, that was great. This was super fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for interviewing me and
course.
coming on the show. Thanks, Sam, again, for always
Yes.
just being the man behind the tech over there. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and listening.
Thank you guys.
See ya.